Rajiv Desai, political analyst and chairman and CEO at Comma Consulting. Rajiv, let me first come to you. The expectation was that the mainstay of election 2019 is going to be the economic issues, but looks like Prime Minister Narendra Modi, for the first time in 2019, is chalking out a strategy and saying that Ram Mandir ordinance is very much coming and the government remains committed to the issue of Ram Mandir. Do you believe that Ayodhya politics is going to take center stage as we head into 2019?
Well, they'll certainly try, but the fact is he has no economic story to tell. This entire interview I saw, it was mere propaganda. It was the launch of his 2019 campaign. Now let's look, can I say a few more things here, please? It's widely acknowledged that he only interacts with a handful of bureaucrats, senior bureaucrats. And given his authoritarian tendencies, no bureaucrat would dare provide him information contrary to his very often stridently expressed views. So he's sort of created a fantasy world of an India progressing, developing, aspirations of youth being fulfilled, which as we all know, I mean, without having to recourse to great, deep statistical analysis, we all know that's not true. It's absolutely not true. There are no jobs. The farmers are in distress. And I don't know what world he's living in. What are his people telling him? Are they feeding him these kinds of things? And does he not have shouldn't he, as Prime Minister, inquire independently whether they're telling him the truth or what? What is it? They're just feeding his ego constantly. This is utter nonsense, all the things that have been said about projects being completed, electricity being provided, farm bumper crops. I mean, please, we are not BJP bhakts here. We are normal, rational.
Okay, Rajiv Desai, those are your views. We take your point. You think that the Prime Minister's team is not being candid with him. That's the view coming in from Rajiv Desai. But, I want to now talk about specifics of what he said. I understand you didn't like the interview. You've been very candid on that front as well. When asked that the Modi magic is waning, will they make 180? The farmer distress issues. He's made it quite clear that this farm loan waiver is against the economy, the larger picture that India should be focusing on, that it is a political stunt. Would you agree with that?
Not at all.
This is the first time he's talked about it.
Far from it. He had to, because it's been every opposition leader has been pushing this whole issue. So he has had to respond to it. But the fact of the matter is, if farm loan waivers, whatever the economics of it be, when they are held in juxtaposition against the NPAs and the waivers given to his very, very senior industrialist friends, it just stands out. I mean, it's like this is truly a suit boot kind of sarkar. Why are they reinforcing this? Do they want to lose the election? Everything, when you ignore things like farmers and their loans and their debts, and when you just minimum, people who got hurt by demonetization, the entire informal sector being hurt drastically, people losing their livelihoods and so forth. When you ignore that, you even he went abroad and said, the guys wanted to get married, but there's no money. So, all this kind of stuff is not, I mean, this does not behoove a Prime Minister to talk.
Right. Rajiv, we get your point on that, but before we take a question on what he said about the middle class, I want you to touch upon the issue of Janta versus Mahagathbandhan. So clearly Prime Minister Modi putting himself above the heat and dust of election 2019. How important do you think is going to be the Mahagathbandhan galvanizing, coming together, and do you believe they will be able to put up a strong show versus Narendra Modi there?
Well, the indications over the past several by-elections as well as state elections are that wherever there is an alliance, the BJP loses. It's as simple as that. Yes, and yes, of course, an alliance will be effective. And the issue is that, remember that even in 2014, the 280-odd seats they got was based on 31% of the vote. 69% went against them, but they were divided up so that they were able to emerge with more seats. Now that the Gadbandhan will change that. And for him to say Janta versus Gadbandhan, for him to even suggest that he is a symbol of the public's trust, Janta's trust and love, I think it's megalomaniacal, seriously. I mean, this is not the way. I don't expect...
Rajiv Desai, I take your point on that, but since we're running out of time, I apologize for interjecting you there. Now, if you were to learn, if the BJP and the NDA had one big lesson to learn from last time round, it was how India Shining went horribly wrong. So you've got a situation here where the farmer distress is, of course, hogging the limelight. But what about the middle class? You know, that was a question that was posed to the Prime Minister, where he said, we need to change our thinking. Do you think this government has done enough for the middle class? Has that been ignored? Is the middle class still looked as an entity that needs to be taxed as much as it is, for example?
Let me put it this way. I don't think they've expressed derision for the middle class or anything of that sort. But what they've done shows that. The taxes are ridiculous. The GST has hurt a lot of middle class people. The taxes, the demonetization has hurt a lot. And the main thing is no jobs. There are no jobs. You know, I can remember in the 90s when we were hiring people, there were people walking around with resignation letters in their pockets because they had 2 or 3 job offers. Today, people are taking really underpaid jobs, highly qualified people taking underpaid jobs. You've read the stories about millions, hundreds of thousands of people applying for 5,000 clerical jobs, you know, with MBAs and PhDs. I mean, so no, true, they may not have been as derisive about the middle class as previous governments, but what they've done is actually hurtful to the middle class, both by way of taxes and jobs and income.
All right, Rajiv Desai, many thanks for taking your time out. Clearly, Nentara, Mr. Desai does not seem to be happy with the way Prime Minister Modi has talked about how things will shape up in 2019, while Ram Mandir continues to be the big issue that the Modi government wants to focus on. Looks like it has not found a lot of takers, at least in terms of political analysts out there.
That's right, and so that's Rajiv Desai's views as far as the interview goes.